Recording in progress.
Good evening. Welcome to City Hall tonight. Tonight is June 4th, 2024. We have a special joint Hayward City Council Redevelopment Successor Agency Housing Authority meeting. Before we get started, I'd like to call this meeting to order. And I'd like to thank the maintenance department for getting me a brand new block, because my gavel was a little bigger than the other one, and I have dents all up here on the table. So thank you, Director Rollman, for that. So call the meeting to order. Councilmember Syrup, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please stand if you're able.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Madam City Clerk, if you can please take the roll.
Good evening, Mayor, and if I may.
Of course, I forgot to do the other part first. Councilmember Andrews and Councilmember Roach have requested to participate in the meeting via the Zoom platform under AB 2449, Brown Act teleconferencing just cause justification as defined in Government Code Section 54953 F2AI and 54953 J2A. And Councilmember Andrews and Councilmember Roach are both not feeling well today, so but they are online and they are listening. Madam City Clerk, if you can please take the roll now.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is also for the Redevelopment Successor Agency and the Hayward Housing Authority. Member Andrews?
Present.
Member Bonilla Jr.?
Present.
Member Goldstein?
Present.
Member Roach?
Present.
Member Syrup?
Present.
Member Cermeño? Mayor and Chair Salinas.
Present. Thank you.
Thank you.
And next, I'd like to call upon our city attorney, if he can give us a closed session announcement, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The Council did convene at 5:30 with all members present, with the 2 members attending virtually. The Council discussed, one, labor negotiations with all bargaining groups. The Council gave direction to staff, but took no reportable action. The Council discussed pending litigation involving MUNIS, the Workers' Compensation Appeals Board. Council gave direction to staff, but took no reportable action. Finally, the Council approved settlement in the case of Macias versus the City of Hayward and authorized settlement in the amount of $337,050 with the city's contribution of $150,000 with the motion made by Councilmember Goldstein, seconded by Councilmember Syrup, and it was unanimously approved. That completes the closed session.
Thank you very much. This evening, we have 3 presentations. The presentation for Words for Lunch program accommodation will be continued till June 18th meeting. But first, what I'd like to do is start this evening with our first presentation, which is acknowledging the wonderful service and acknowledging the wonderful work and career of our fire chief, Chief Garrett Contreras. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give Chief Garrett Contreras and his family a big round of applause. We have a lot of stuff up here for you, and just to a little personal note, this evening as I was preparing for tonight's meeting, I was, Christopher, my executive assistant, usually comes in, has a folder of certificates to sign and to look at, the first certificate, the first folder I opened up was Chief Contreras's, and I'll tell you, I felt real pleased and quite proud to be the signature on your commendation tonight, sir. So thank you very much. Before I get started, what I like to do is we have representatives from some area local official offices and other groups. And what I'll do is I will have them present their certificates to you first, and then I will do our accommodation last. And I do have up here the Hayward Chamber. I think this is this is the city of Hayward. I will hold this off to the side. But what I'd like to do is call upon our representatives from the Eden Health District, Pamela Rousseau and Mary Ellen Farias, if they would like to come up and read this.
Chief, I'm not going to read all of those words. Instead, I'd like to speak to you directly. On behalf of the Eden Health District, Mary Ellen and I would like to share this proclamation with you, illustrating an amazing career. Our board has been fortunate enough to run behind you and your team, and it's so nice to see all of you here this evening during COVID. We watched you create and innovate during uncharted waters, and you exceeded all expectations. You have been a tremendous resource to the Eden Health District, as demonstrated by the Firehouse Clinic and your incredible leadership at St. Rose. We know your passion has assisted the hospital in a sustainability plan, and we are most appreciative of your vision and dedication. On a personal note, Chief, we go back many years. I've always admired and respected you. I consider you a colleague, an advisor, and a true friend. Thank you, Chief. You have made me a better person, and you've both protected our city and the health of those who live in it.
Our next presenter is Alameda County Supervisor of District 2, Elisa Marquez. Supervisor Marquez.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, council members, and community. Chief, I want to personally thank you for your decades of service to the Hayward community. I have so much respect for you because you truly see Hayward for what it is. You are a visionary, and most importantly, you have respected all of the residents here in Hayward. So I just want to read a couple of whereases. We'd be here all night if we acknowledged all of your accolades, but it's really important that the community knows that you were instrumental in establishing the Firehouse Clinic, the Regional Fire Training Center, and establishing one of the first free COVID-19 testing clinics in the nation. You continue to serve on the board for St. Rose Hospital in Hayward, Southern Alameda County's only safety net hospital with emergency room and maternity care services. Chief, you are a thought partner. We are so thankful for your leadership, your vision, your friendship. I also want to thank your wife, Nicole. Thank you for sharing him with us for all of these years, and your daughters. And I'll never forget the first time I met you at the hall at Local 1909. You made such a positive impact the very first time I met you, and we continue to build and strengthen our community together. I know this is not goodbye. I know more great things are to come with your leadership and vision, but thank you for your dedication and service to the residents of Hayward.
Before we proceed, we do have a small little technical difficulty, and the city attorney is going to make an announcement.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The city clerk advises that we have a technical issue with Granicus, which is our agenda management system. But, so it's not recording, but the meeting can continue. People can watch the meeting remotely by way of YouTube, the city's YouTube channel, by way of our Zoom platform. The Zoom login information is on the city's website, and on KHRT Channel 15. Thank you, Mayor.
Chief, you dang near broke YouTube. Our next presenter is from our California State Assembly member, Liz Ortega, and it's Iboni Odior. Or Ibani. Maya. Actually, hit the button so that it's red. Red means go up here. Yep. There you
Okay.
go.
Okay, so my name is Ebony, and I'm from Assemblymember Liz Ortega's office. And unfortunately, the Assemblymember couldn't be here tonight, but she wanted to recognize your many years of service to our district. We thank you for your service, and we commend your ongoing dedication to the city of Hayward and its residents. Under your leadership, Hayward Fire Department has been a leader, not only for Alameda County, but for the state of California. And on behalf of Assemblymember Liz Ortega, she wishes you a long, happy, healthy retirement, along with sincerest thanks and appreciation for your many years of dedication and exemplary service to Hayward and Assembly District 20. We still have a nice big resolution coming for you. It just hasn't come yet, but once again, congratulations.
Our next presenter is from California State Senator Aisha Wahab Elizabeth Baca.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Senator Wahab wishes to extend her appreciation to Fire Chief Garrett Contreras for his decades of service to the city of Hayward. The senator has consistently expressed pride in how innovative the Hayward Fire Department is and how much of that innovation is due to your work as chief. Hayward has some of the highest standards across the state for its fire department, including that firefighters are duly trained as EMTs, resulting in the Firehouse Clinic, as was already stated, the Hayward Heart Program, and the nation's first drive-through COVID site clinic. These are just a few examples of how Chief Contreras' leadership has made Hayward a leader in meeting community needs. So thank you, Chief Contreras, for your decades of work and your commitment to our community, and congratulations on your retirement.
And then we have one more person that wanted to come up and say a few words is former Hayward City Council member Al Mendel.
Apologies for my back
No,
here.
that's fine.
So I just wanted to come up here and say thank you. Garrett, Chief Contreras, sorry. You and I have been friends for 20 years. You've been serving the city for 28, 12 as the Hayward Fire Chief. And I want to appreciate you for some of your personal accomplishments. And I know you'll be the first to correct me and say that you didn't do any of these things alone, but the Firehouse Clinic would not have happened without you. The very first free public COVID testing site anywhere in the nation was right here in Hayward. Would not have happened without you. The Fire Training Center and the partnership with Chabot that helped build it would not have happened without you. And I think all of us should give him a good round of applause for those achievements, because you didn't do them alone, brother, but you did them, and you led the effort, and I thank you.
And I was just told that, and I apologize for missing you, Congressman Eric Swalwell's office is here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Desiree Broom, and I am Congressman Swalwell's District Director. The Congressman is in Washington voting today, so he was unable to attend, but we wanted to come on his behalf to thank the Chief for his decades of service. It has been a pleasure to work with you during your time here in Hayward, and we want to congratulate you on your retirement. So thank you so much. Here is a certificate of...
Okay. Actually, what I'm going to do is before I dive into the items that we have, what I'd like to do is perhaps give an opportunity for each of the council members to say a word or two on behalf of the chief. So, I'll start with Councilmember Zermeño.
Thank you, Mayor. First time I met Chief Contreras was at Taqueria Eduardo's on Tampa and Tennyson. That was our first over tacos. We spoke about firefighters. We spoke about our city of Hayward. He drove up on his Harley. I couldn't believe it. I thought, you need to make sure you're safe out there. And that was back in, I believe, 1990. And ever since then, the relationship has been a very good one. I certainly respect what the Chief has done for our city. I respect his passion, the fact that you can have a grown man actually semi-break down as he is honoring the new Regional Fire Training Center. That is passion. That is something else. That he began as a firefighter, then as a leader of 1909, and then over to building to City Hall, where his most dangerous job was paper cuts. That is, and then of course, Hayward's in his heart. He keeps telling me that, hey, I'm not leaving. Hayward's still here. I am Hayward. And that's something else. First I thought he spoke Spanish just because Contreras, but he doesn't. But that's okay. I don't hold it against him, just because it just outweighs everything else. What I really admire, two things I admire most about our fire chief, and that is thinking outside the box and having that can-do attitude. It can be done. As my colleague Mendel mentioned, this first in the whole United States with the medical center right next to the fire station. That's tremendous. All of our firefighters are who they are and what they are because of the leadership of our fire chief. And the other reason that I admire Chief Contreras is that in his heart there is the brotherhood of firefighters. Firefighters not only in Hayward, firefighters all over the state, all the way to Mexico. We have firefighters in my home state of Jalisco who actually are benefiting from his firefighting heart. That is tremendous. So he goes beyond Hayward, I believe. And then he joined Rotary. I mean, gosh, what else did I want? So that's tremendous. Always there when I need him. Of course, I'm always there when he needs me. I need him more than he needs me. But Chief Garrett Contreras, you are special. Eres especial. Eres una maravilla de hombre y de bombero. And one of the reasons is because when I started growing up, I said, I want to be a firefighter. This was when I was in Mexico, but then I came over and all my dreams went away. So my hats off to the firefighters, my hats off to the fire chief, my hats off to our our men and women in blue, because you put your lives on the line, and that's something that cannot be taken away from you. And I appreciate all of you. And Chief Contreras, un abrazo y muchas gracias.
Councilmember Bonilla.
Thank you, Mayor. I too want to express my thanks to you, Chief, for just leading such a fabulous fire department in our city. We have a fire department that has really raised the bar for how it is we provide equitable and fair service to everyone in our community, and that has a lot to do with your commitment to equity and fairness. As I was thinking about what I was going to share tonight, I just thought of a few characteristics that come to mind when I think about you as our fire chief in Hayward and as a leader in our community. The first is innovative, and I think we heard several examples tonight how your innovation has raised the bar for safety and response and community health within our community. Fair and equitable, the things that you're doing within the fire department to make sure that we're able to respond in culturally competent ways across our community and make sure that we're serving everybody in Hayward has really been a hallmark of my appreciation for your work. Committed to excellence in everything that you do, rather that be working, in our public safety net hospital, St. Rose, rather that be leading our fire department or anything that you do, your commitment shines strong. Excellence is another characteristic, service and leadership. These are things that, you're born with, that you've cultivated them. These are skills that we're all gonna really miss in Hayward and in our fire chief. But we know that although you may not be our fire chief, you're still going to be a contributing member and a leader of our community. And although you're moving on to the next part of your journey, I know that your heart is still in Hayward, and these attributes of your leadership will continue to shine through in the service that you provide to us. So it's really not, goodbye. It's I'll see you in a different capacity soon, and we're also appreciative for your continued commitment to Hayward. So we wish you well, and we thank you for everything that you've done to put us in a better place here in Hayward. Thank you, Chief.
Councilmember Goldstein.
Chief Contreras, the phrase "it's never been done before" doesn't seem to affect you. Right? And what a lesson for all of us to take to heart, to have that vision for what's needed and wanted and desired in our community, how to make it a better place, the fire department a better institution, its individuals better human beings. And what a great legacy you are leaving for the city of Hayward. And thank God you are not leaving, that we get to keep you here for a while and continue to benefit from your wisdom and your insight and your passion. I salute you, sir.
Councilmember Syrup.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief Contreras, I don't want to begin speaking because that only acknowledges that this moment is real. As much as tonight is a celebration of all of your achievements, it's also a significant loss for the city, and I just want to acknowledge that. When I think of you, I think of Bleeding Green, and I think I'd be remiss not to say and mention Bleeding Green. You set the standard for what it means to bleed green for our city, for its community, for its people, and when activists took to the streets in 2020, rather than dismissing us, you were open-minded. You welcomed us into a meeting and you heard us out. And from that spawned the HEART program, which has been an incredibly successful pilot. And that really is one of the variables that made me feel confident in running, is knowing that there are people in the city such as yourself that are tapped in, that are listening, and that are trying to innovate alongside the community. And so I'll keep my remarks brief. I'm incredibly sad to be losing you, and I know the city is too. But I think our relationship is just getting started, and I know you care about this community way too much to just sit back in retirement. So I'm looking forward to our continued working relationship together and what comes next for you and for the city of Hayward. Thank you.
Councilmember Roach.
Thank you, and I'm so sorry I can't be here for this special moment, Chief Contreras. I want to thank you for your long years of service to Hayward, for all the reasons you've heard tonight, but I'd especially like to thank you for what you've done to try to engage Hayward youngsters and try to inspire them to serve our city, and especially going as far as building an entire training facility, a state-of-the-art training facility, so that our students would have the best and inspire them to become part of our Hayward family. I'm so impressed by that, and I think youngsters understand that, that they have the support of you and the fire department in our city. Chief Contreras was one of the first executives I met in Hayward when I was running for city council. I got to do a ride along with him to understand the concerns of Hayward Fire. From that meeting, I was so impressed with your passion and your optimism for the city, and it gave me great confidence knowing I was hopefully entering an organization that had that kind of vision, that kind of optimism and confidence to be able to serve the community. So thank you for that. The last thing is, when I was running for council and telling my family about what Hayward was up to, they were the ones that told me, they said, did you know that Hayward was the first site in the country to stand up a COVID testing center? And they were so impressed with that. And I was impressed by that and got to boast about that. So I want to thank you for your leadership on that as well. It's a huge point of pride, I think, for Hayward. So thank you for everything you've done for Hayward. You're going to be sorely missed. And I congratulate you on your retirement. Thank you.
Councilmember Andrews.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a really sad day for Hayward. Chief Contreras, you're one of the few people who would sit me down and tell it like it is sometimes. And we have very tough conversations, but they were always enlightening and informative. And the highlight for me of your career is the Hayward Evaluation and Response Team. That was something that I always championed when I was campaigning and always wanted to see that response. And you were instrumental in making that happen. Also wanted to talk about your advocacy and commitment to getting more women into the field and your partnership with Girls Inc. and other agencies to see that happen. And I think it's also a testament to your career to see that room filled with so many uniforms out there to support you. I'm so sad that I'm not able to be there tonight, but I want to thank you so much for your commitment to Hayward. I know you're not done yet. I know that you're going to do great things in this next phase in your career. And I look forward to continue working with you in partnerships that I know you're going to continue to make in support of Hayward, but also for the whole fire department career. I'm sure you're going to do more things with these types of agencies. So thank you so much for all your hard work, and thank your family. I know that it was a commitment for you to serve Hayward for them as well. So thank you so much.
And we have, I was just told that we have one more public commenter, and I'll let him speak. And the only reason why I'm going to let him speak is I know you and him know each other for a very long time. And Mr. Ortiz, go ahead.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Aaron Ortiz, CEO of La Familia. What I know about Chief Contreras, the true measure of service is not whether we stumble, it's whether we pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off. No matter what storms come ahead, we chart our own course. We keep our eyes fixed on the horizon and take care of those around us because we all rise and fall together. That's the story of Chief Contreras, the story of a chief with grace, the story of a frontline healer, and that's the spirit we celebrate today. On behalf of the entire executive team at La Familia, thank you. We look forward to future endeavors with you. And what can I say about COVID, Chief? We can write a book about what we did through your leadership during COVID with partnerships like Eden Health District, but we'll wait for that book to come out. I admire you. From one Chicano leader to another, God bless you and your family. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Before I read commendation, if you can hold that, I wanted to make a few words. You know, I met Chief Contreras about 14, maybe 15 years ago, and he, of course, when I started to ramp up to run for the city council, I had a conversation with them, and there were two things that I have learned over the years working with Chief Contreras that clearly was established at the very beginning of our relationship. One, Chief Contreras is a very serious individual. He's very serious. He takes not only public safety seriously, not only does he take fire department very seriously, but he also takes the city of Hayward very serious. Everything he does, it's measured. Everything that he's done, it's been calculated. You know, and when he does something, I have felt a great deal of confidence, and I'm sure a lot of others have, but they knew that it would get done right, it would be thoughtful, and quite frankly, it would be the best. And I know that we've talked about this before, about Hayward deserves the best. And everything that Chief Contreras has done over his career here in the city of Hayward for the Hayward Fire Department, it was to make sure the city of Hayward had the very best. And that is something that I've always appreciated about your work ethos here in this city. Another thing, another sort of trait or characteristic that I've always admired about your work and just your orientation about the city of Hayward is that you take this city very personal. I take this city very personal. We take our successes very personal. We take our challenges very personal. When you conceived the Station 7 and the firehouse and the clinic, it was the conversation was, how can we get this done in South Hayward on Tennyson and Huntwood, in the middle of South Hayward? That was a non-negotiable. That police department would be the first one to get built, or that fire department would be the first one to get built, and the clinic would be established. And it was very personal to him. I could recall the meetings that he was in, all the presentations that he would lead in the community. This project was personal, and it's successful. The Firehouse Training Center, that was very personal, and you saw it. Every room he went into, every community center he went into to talk about it, everything that he, you know, when you asked him about, you know, what it would have, all the amenities, all of the components, and I mean, you know, Chief Contreras could talk about every granular of concrete in that facility with enthusiasm, with spirit, and with fun, because he knew that this would be the best place possible for firefighters and for the future of the profession, and it would be here in Hayward. And those are two things that I have always admired about our chief. And I'm on the Alameda County Mayor's Conference, and it is a big flex to walk in and people know that Chief Contreras is with the city of Hayward and is with us. That was a huge flex along the county and within the county. And I know all of us can be proud of that. The city can be proud of it. The police department can be proud of it. And of course, your family, the Hayward Fire Department, can be proud of that. And that is something that you have done. That is the legacy that you have built. And that is the legacy that will live forever in this city and in the police department. Chief Contreras, thank you very much for everything. And before you come up, let me read this commendation. So let me read it first. Whereas The certificate of commendation is being presented to Fire Chief Garrett Contreras upon his retirement from the City of Hayward on June 7th, 2024, in honor of his dedication and commitment to the City of Hayward. And whereas Chief Contreras joined the City of Hayward in October of 1996 and has served 12 years as Fire Chief and a total of 28 years to the City of Hayward and the Hayward community. And whereas prior to joining the City of Hayward, Chief Contreras was hired as a firefighter with the City of Hayward in 1996, promoted to captain in 2005, and ascended to ranks to battalion chief in 2008 and deputy chief special operations in 2011. And whereas in 2012, Chief Contreras became the 11th fire chief for the City of Hayward, and whereas Chief Contreras was heavily involved with the Firefighters Local 1909 and served as the president from 2002 to 2008, was instrumental in helping to remodel Local 1909 Union Hall, and served as chair for the 1909 Political Action Committee, and 5 years as the executive board member and shift representative. And whereas Chief Contreras also served as a board of director for St. Rose Hospital, as an executive board member for the Alameda County Central Labor Council, and was an active participant in the successful passage of Measure A in 2009, which was the only utility tax to pass in the state during that time. And whereas Chief Contreras has overseen the construction and operating of several large fire stations that have served as innovative models for integrity, partnerships, including Fire Station 6 and the Fire Station Training Center, and Fire Station 7 and Firehouse Clinic. And whereas Chief Contreras is the recipient of many accolades, which include the 2001 Hayward Chamber of Commerce Firefighter of the Year, in 2016 Eden Area ROP Business Person of the Year, and the 2021 Alameda County Supervisors Award. And I should also say that he's also this year's honoree for the Chabot College Foundation, Friends of the Chabot College Foundation, Friend of 2024. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Hayward City Council does hereby commend Chief Garrett Contreras for his untiring dedication and unwavering service as the fire chief for the City of Hayward, expresses its sincere appreciation and gratitude for his valued contributions to making Hayward a community safer and better place to live and work and play, and extends to him our congratulations and offers our best wishes on his retirement. It has been a privilege and an honor for all of us to work with Chief Contreras for the betterment of Hayward. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a big standing ovation. And then can we get Councilmember Rhodes and Councilmember Andrews up on the screen? Is that possible? I think so. Well, as we're doing that, let's take some pictures. Okay. Oh, yeah, they have to. Oh, they have to say something. Oh, they have to.
Hello?
Oh, there you go. There's, oh, then.
Hi, did I have to say something? Okay, got it.
And then we can, here, why don't George or something?
We could like that.
Thank you. Can I say something?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, if I could just, I will be as brief as I can. Thank you, everyone, for suffering through 50 minutes. That's a long time to endure, but I'm so grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful for all the people that are here. I'm grateful for, I will get emotional, but I'll try and contain it. I'm grateful for all my friends and colleagues that I work with, staff across the board, community members that I've grown so close with over the course of 28 years, residents that I have had the opportunity to serve and hopefully meet their expectations, to our internal administration staff, really amazing, the folks. Councilmember Mendel said it best. It takes a village. It takes a big team to make all of these things happen. And I'm grateful for the accolades and the recognition. But I know that excuse me, I stand on all of their shoulders. The Hayward Fire Department, our admin staff, the best firefighters union in the country, the best firefighters in the world, city staff that I have so much respect for, that make, as we often say, what makes the red lights go on is all of the staff. And when the red lights go on in the fire station, it takes our tech services, it takes our maintenance folks, it takes our admin staff, it takes the whole team to be doing their job so we can execute our mission. And you all do it incredibly well across the board. We have an amazing city staff that meets the mark every day. To our elected officials that never waver on doing the right thing and stepping up and standing behind public safety. My colleagues in the police department, Chief Matthews, your leadership, it's one of the only regrets I have of retiring right now is we didn't get more time to work along each other's side. We talked about it for years, and it was a dream come true to be able to work shoulder to shoulder with you over the last number of months. We've got an incredible leader in the police department and an incredible police force that's doing amazing things in the community that is setting the bar. Again, our dispatch professionals, the first responders for the first responders, the people who often are overlooked and not recognized. They don't have the fancy uniform. They're not out in the public. But it's very important that we remember and recognize the sacrifices that you make. Some of them are here, Jamie and Monica, but the whole team that are back at the dispatch center handling the calls, taking care of business. I can go on and on. My executive team, the staff, or my colleagues on the E team, most are here, some online. I'm going to miss you a lot. I care about you deeply, and I have so much respect for you, and I know that we're in really good hands. And for the future, I said I would be brief. For the future of the Hayward Fire Department, I know we're in really good hands. Deputy Chief Vollmer, thank you for stepping up so that I could step away. And sometimes you can't see how much talent there is on the bench unless the leader moves on. And you're about to see how deep we are, how stacked we are in the command staff. You're about to see that talent rise, and you've only seen the beginning of what this department is capable of. Thank you. It's been the honor of my life.
Thank you, Chief. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to take a 5-minute break so we can clear the house, and then we'll move on to our next two presentations. So let's take a 5-minute break, and then we can reset everything. Thank you. And if we can have the back door closed. Thank you, Chief. Okay, welcome back. Sorry about that. We're having some technical difficulties here, and we had needed a little bit of time to reset, but apparently situation hasn't changed. So I'll just let the comment said before the break stay. So our next proclamation is acknowledging National Arbor Day, and Councilmember Bonilla, if you'd like to hold that, please. Proclamation. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees in our city increases property values, enhances economic vitality of business areas, provide environmental benefits, and beautify our community, and they are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas the City of Hayward, the Hayward Area Recreation Park District, and the Hayward Unified School District are promoting Arbor Day as a day in which we can reflect upon our trees and engage all residents to join in this celebration by planting a tree of their own. And whereas the City of Hayward has been recognized as a Tree City USA for 35 consecutive years by the National Arbor Day Foundation and desires to continue its tree planting process. And I should also let Councilmember Zermenio know that late last week, I did get a letter acknowledging this year we are the award has been renewed. So I did get that announcement this last week. Now, therefore, I, Mark Salinas, Mayor of the City of Hayward, do hereby proclaim April 26th as National Arbor Day. So let's give the trees a big round of applause. And I don't, let's see, who was going to, is there anybody who's accepting the Arbor Day? Oh, Todd Rollman, of course. Thank you.
Thank all you guys for your support.
Green means go here.
Thank you guys for your support with our urban forest and our tree planting. Thank you guys very much.
Okay, now we have to take a picture. Here, you guys stand over here. And then hold this. Keep planting trees, bro. Our next proclamation is an acknowledgement of Gay Pride Month, or Pride Month. This afternoon at 12 o'clock, the City of Hayward raised the official progressive pride flag here in front of City Hall in the courtyard. And so today what we are doing is we are acknowledging LGBTQIA+ Pride Month. Here's a proclamation. Whereas the City of Hayward has a diverse lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, queer, intersex, two-spirit, and gender nonconforming community, and it is committed to supporting visibility, dignity, and equity for all people in the community. And whereas Hayward has been a welcoming community for LGBTQIA residents, businesses, and organizations for decades. And whereas Hayward has been home to the annual Gay Prom Hayward, hosted by Project Eden's Lambda Youth Group, a group of Horizon Treatment Centers for more than 26 years and was one of the first to hold such an event in the United States. And whereas the City of Hayward is recognizing Pride with a series of efforts at both branches of the Hayward Public Library throughout the month, including displays of books and library materials for all ages, and events such as Family Fun Rainbow Art Program, Pride Month Teen Trivia Contest, and an interactive Share How You Support Pride display. And whereas the Progress Pride flag is an important symbol in recognizing and celebrating our diverse Hayward, and whereas on June 4, 2024, Hayward acknowledged its commitment to be an inclusive, equitable, and compassionate community by resolving to fly the Progress Pride flag throughout every June in honor of LGBTQIA+ Pride Month in City Hall Plaza. Now, therefore, I, Mark Salinas, Mayor of the City of Hayward, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of June as LGBTQIA+ Pride Month in the City of Hayward. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give LGBTQIA+ Pride Month a big round of applause. And I would like to invite Robert Lopez and Rochelle Collins. I think Rochelle Collins is here, and our library director, Jayanti Adelman, to the microphone, and then we will. If you guys want to join me down there.
Thank you so much, Mayor Salinas, members of the City Council. Really appreciate this on behalf of the city, of the City Library. I really thank you. We are, as a team, part of the queer community and also allies. I just want to say we are here and we are part of the whole team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where else can you go if you can't find it in a bookstore or library in terms of finding what our young people are in need of? So my name is Robert. I work for Project Eden, program of Horizon Treatment Center. It's wonderful coming up here every year to have the City Council make this proclamation and fly the progressive pride flag in the city. I'm a resident of this city and have been for quite a few years, and I've worked in the city now for almost 15. So with that, I am so happy that I live in a city that recognizes our human right as being individuals with LGBT, and that we also see it reflected on our city council as well. And so with that, we thank you again, and Rochelle's here. We were just funded through Alameda County Behavioral Health to open up a drop-in center for our youth, transitional age youth and young adults, where they can come in, have a space where they can feel comfortable and safe, and have access to mental health services as well, which has been our biggest issue in our county, is that there aren't enough mental health providers and substance misuse providers serving our community, our LGBTQIA community. So with that, we're looking at that starting this July.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I just want to say that the opportunity for me has been, as the director of Project Eden and the Lambda Youth Project, and been to 23 of the 27 Pride proms here in the city of Hayward. It's always admirable, the support that we get from the city of Hayward for such a tremendous event. It's the first city to ever host be accepting, be acknowledging, being welcoming to the LGBTQIA young people, and the support that we get from the volunteers is amazing. You have such an incredible residents in this city who come out and not only support for our gay prom. This is the first city that actually the Hayward Unified School District allowed us to bring our LGBTQIA services on school campuses. That does not happen in San Leandro. It does not happen in Castro Valley, but it happens here, and that's through the funding that we get through the Human Services Commission of the City of Hayward. So we're just grateful that you honor us this evening and want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Lopez, thank you very much, and Ms. Collins, thank you very much. The work you guys have been doing for so long in this city is important and necessary, and I just really wanted to thank you on behalf of the city and the City Council for making this a priority and not giving up, and particularly for teens, and really making sure that they have a safe place to be. And a safe city to live. So thank you very much for your work. Absolutely. Okay. I next would like to move on to public comments. These are reserved for audience members who would like to make a public comment on something that is on the agenda or not, not that is not on the agenda. We do have items on the agenda that people can make a comment about or a comment to, but let's see. Let me see if there's any public comment online. I don't see anybody online yet, but what I'd like to do is first call upon Lisa Lawrence. You gotta hit the button, yeah.
Good evening, Mayor Salinas and members of the City Council. My name is Lisa Lorenz, and I'm president of the Bay Philharmonic, and I'm proud that Hayward is the home of the Bay Philharmonic. We're going to be having our concert, Tchaikovsky Gold, coming up on June 23rd. Very excited to have John Nakamatsu, who is one of the first, or one of the only winners of the Van Cliburn, internationally acclaimed Van Cliburn Award. And we're so excited to have him come perform with us. I also want to introduce the newest member of our team. I have Carlos Hernandez, who is joining us as the new youth artistic director. He's coming out from Indiana, just finished his doctorate degree, and he's going to be helping us to expand our youth program from Fremont to Hayward and all of our surrounding communities. So I just wanted to let Carlos say a few words.
It's good to be here. Thank you so much. Such a great day to be here and see all the individuals and organizations that have been serving this community and really just honoring them. I think it's important for us to do that with our youth as well, and the power of music is a beautiful thing. I don't know where I would be without it. From Miami, Florida originally, and for a long time, you wonder where you'll end up, where you'll start to create a home. And so my hope is that it's somewhere around here. So thank you so much.
So look forward to seeing you on June 23rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next public speaker is Vincent Milani.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, and staff. I thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I appreciate all the hard work that you all do for the citizens of Hayward. My name is Vincent Milani, and I'm a longtime resident of Hayward, and I want to voice my concern tonight for Hayward Public Schools. I have heard our city referred to as the education city, that statement, as far as I'm concerned, is far from the reality. I would argue that the reality is that very little education takes place in Hayward, and the schools are horrible. According to the California Department of Education, Hayward schools perform at the bottom 50% of all schools. 81% of our students test below state standards in math, and 67% test below standard in English. Furthermore, they are indoctrinated with harmful and perverse ideologies that are hidden from parents, are destructive to young people, to society as a whole, and are rejected by people of all faiths. You need to do something about it. We need to do better. I am tired of having my money forcefully taken from me to fund an institution that is failing. That's all I have. Thank you very much. My name is Vincent Milani.
Thank you. Our next public speaker is, I believe it's Pauline. It does say K, but it's crossed out, and then it says Pauline.
I didn't cross it out. What is the interest of the city and its representatives not enforcing its own housing statutes, laws, ordinances, etc., which it claims they are so proud of? Per Christine Morales, the city's housing manager, therefore, as per the city itself, a tenant refusing to sign landlord's self-serving, fraudulent, perjurious paperwork, documents, and documentation that landlords have the right to evict that tenants for landlords refusing to provide correct, accurate, etc. paperwork for tenants to sign. This is the foundation, representation, basis, etc., of your housing statutes that you're so proud of and that you let happen, which clearly tenants are used as sacrifice for the sole basis of such landlords and their business entities as Reliant Group, aka Reliant Property Management, aka Cornerstone Residential Adventures into Wealth, with the complete blessing and aid of the cities such as Hayward and its representatives. This is the city's and its representatives' legacy to date, that I wish everyone was up for election so its citizens can make a vote on. The city's mayor and city council department wanting to use another department of the city, such as the police, to enforce street vending ordinances. Why is the city not doing the same for tenants' rights? But around the claim that the city has no power to enforce its own housing ordinances or tenants' rights, as it's stated. When it comes to the housing, tenants' rights, homelessness, it seems the city and this body's activities does not match its actions. It seems the city's employees have these same concerns of not wanting to be homeless, for not being able to pay their rent or mortgages by the way of their pay scale, and no tenant protections. Again, this is something that needs to be done about. I am proud to hear that the exiting fire chief was so innovative, and a lot of the things that you said he did, I have seen myself with my eyes. That's the kind of representation and action this city needs to continue, and this present body here before me. Why is that not being done? It seems if he were to run, I'd be happy to vote for him and many of the city's constituents. Please do something. Don't let our pleadings be in vain. Do your job and represent the larger public, not just rich interest.
Thank you. Seeing no other public comment online and seeing that all the other cards are for specific items on the agenda, I will close public comments and we are going to take a 2-minute break because I am told that we just need 2 more minutes to reset the system, and then that way all of the technology that is supposed to work will be working. So, Madam City Clerk, if we can take a 2-minute break. Thank you. Okay. And I just want to say that our technology professional got us up and running again. So thank you very much for that. Okay. Next, I have city manager's comments. And interim city manager Dustin Clausen, do you have any comments?
Actually, acting assistant city manager Kosterzak is going to read us the city manager's comments this evening.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. One comment for today. In honor of Pride Month and as a start to its summer activities, the Hayward Public Library will be hosting a special family fun rainbow art program with award-winning artist Heital Unjaria at the Weeks branch on Saturday, June 8th from 3 p.m. on. The program is designed for children 5 to 12 years of age. The accompanying parents and caregivers are not only welcome to attend, but are encouraged to join in and create art alongside their children. Registration is required. Please go to hayward.librarycalendar.com for further information and to register. And that's it.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was our interim assistant city manager. That's 4 words in your title.
That's impressive, right?
Kosterzak. And I think by next month, I should know how to say Kosterzak properly.
You're doing just fine. I can't say it properly, so we're good.
Thank you. Next, moving on to our consent calendar. Items 1 through 10, I was asked to pull item number 4 and item number 7. And so what if I can get a motion and a second for the remaining items, that'd be great.
I'll move the remaining items on the consent calendar, Mayor.
Moved by Councilmember Bonilla, seconded by Councilmember Goldstein. And
Can I just make a very tiny comment on 5?
Sure.
The small comment I wanted to make is that this agreement includes bringing in the Alameda County Mosquito Abatement District as part of HASPA. I wanted to thank my colleague, Councilmember Zermeño, for helping piece together this agreement, and I think it makes the overall HASPA stronger to have a mosquito abatement strategy as part of it, because we know mosquitoes spend a lot of time in the marshes. So I just wanted to shout that out. This is a very exciting partnership, even though mosquitoes might not sound that exciting. Thank you.
Excellent. Moved by Councilmember Bonilla, seconded by Councilmember Goldstein, and I believe we're going to do a voice vote because we have 2 members that are at home. So, Madam City Clerk, if you can take the vote.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Andrews?
Aye.
Councilmember Bonilla Jr.?
Aye.
Councilmember Goldstein?
Aye.
Councilmember Roach?
Aye.
Councilmember Sarah?
Yes.
Councilmember Cermeño? Mayor Salinas?
And that's a yes.
Thank
And
you.
it looks like it unanimously passes. Our first item that we had a public comment on was item number 4, and I believe the public commenter is Kay.
Why I and other members of the public are happy to see an appropriation being set aside for housing. I would like to say that what we want to see regarding this or any other appropriation and the city's decision around housing and tenants' rights is that there is efficacy and that there's effectiveness in what is being done, which in my opinion, while the city may be proud of its housing stance, again, your words are not matching with the actions. Therefore, no efficacy or effectiveness. And that leaves much to be improved. I am pleased to hear, though, today of the chief fire department, the chief of the fire department, and the great work that they did. That makes me a little proud of the city and its members that supported him and endorsed his innovativeness and his willingness to think out of the box to match what the city's needs in terms of its communities was. More of that needs to be done. Thinking out of the box, serving the greater, larger community for good. That I'm pleased to hear, and I'm pleased to say thank you for that, for those kinds of actions. Now, I wish they would also transfer to the housing and tenants' rights needs that exist, that seems to be falling on deaf ears, unfortunately. The fact that we're having so many illegal evictions, most of these evictions or these cases in court, they're literally illegal based on what the landlord's conducts and actions are. Christine Morales has not been one to hear tenants' needs and respond to them as to what has been happening in my 5 years experience of living in this city. Please do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item, Councilmember Goldstein wanted to speak to item number 7.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I had a few questions on this for staff. I'm a little confused. So this is item 24, 300. And on page 3, it said that there was an outstanding balance of $379,770. But on page 4 on the graph, the figure was $220,924. Can you help me understand the difference?
The difference between the two figures is the amount that has been paid down since we last went through this process last year. So the current amount due is the $220,924.
I see. Okay, great. Thank you for that. And
Councilmember Goldstein, I apologize, but I spoke too soon when I called upon you. We first need to vote on item number 4, and then I'll proceed to item number 7.
Okay. Yes,
Give me
sir.
a second.
Of
Yeah, I
course.
appreciate it. And
Okay.
Director Rollman, I apologize. And then I believe Councilmember Syrup had a comment on item number 4.
I actually have a few questions for number 4.
Yes.
So, from my understanding, we are granting this $2 million to the Housing Authority in order to meet our ARPA deadlines. Is that correct? Will that give us more room? Okay. Yeah, I think it might be helpful to have you. I have a few more questions. Thank you.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. And just to be clear, are we holding these funds as we wait for the social impact bond program to develop so that we can leverage them most effectively?
Yes, that's the intent. We're trying to leverage the social impact bond program so that we can acquire and rehab vacant and blighted properties, so that not only is it a down payment assistance, but that there are quality properties that would be available to moderate and low income households.
Got it. And then I'm curious, in this resolution, it talks about low income first time home buyers. And I just am curious if we have room for adjustment around that language, because I don't know if it's possible for a low income earner to afford a mortgage in this current market. And just as an example, imagine someone who's making around $100,000 right now, puts down a $200,000 down payment on an $800,000 home. They're still looking at a $5,000 plus mortgage. So if somebody was making, half of, $50,000, even with the down payment assistance that we're offering, it doesn't seem likely they would be able to afford that mortgage. And so my interest here is just making sure that folks have the opportunity to buy a home, and that would also free up more rental units in the market as well, which to me seems like what we're trying to accomplish here. So I think my fear here, and maybe you can speak to this, is we're creating a well-intentioned program, but if folks can't afford the mortgage once they get the house, then we're back at square one again. So I was wondering if you could speak to that a little bit and maybe help assure me here.
Yes, so the income limit is based on the federal regulations of the ARPA fund. So we have to target low income or lower. The program, though, for social impact bonds is actually envisioning that it could be accessible to moderate income households, and that therefore the down payment assistance would make the units more accessible to low income. So we're really starting from a lower initial sales price, not market price, just enough to be able to rehab the home, being able to acquire the properties at lower costs because of the condition of the property. And so when we're starting from that lower point, based on our estimates, we should be able to reach that low income target market.
Okay, and just for my knowledge, can you help me define low income in this context? Because low income can be defined in a lot of different ways. What is around the salary range we're looking at when we say low to moderate income here?
They just changed the limit, and it's not at the tip of my tongue, but
Okay.
I think like for a household of 4, I believe it's around $120,000. I really have to look it up to be certain. But it is it's higher than I think what people think. Most of the time we think of low income, we think that we're not envisioning it's a 2-person household that might be earning $60,000 a year, or a single wage earner at over $100,000 for a household of 4.
Okay. I'm hoping that we can revisit and get status updates on this program, because to have $2 million parked, especially as we're hearing there's real need, I want to make sure these dollars are being put to use. And if folks just can't afford a mortgage, and even with a 20% down payment, we're looking at $4,000 to $5,000 a month mortgages. I just want to make sure these dollars are being put to use. So I'm eager to hear updates on this program as it goes forward. But thank you to your team for helping design this and finding an innovative way to keep the money in our city.
Thank you. And if there are no other questions, I will ask for a motion.
Happy to move it.
Moved by Councilmember Syrup.
I'll second.
The second by Councilmember Bonilla. And if there are no other questions, Madam City Clerk, if you can take the roll.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Andrews?
Aye.
Councilmember Bonilla Jr.?
Aye.
Councilmember Goldstein?
Aye.
Councilmember Roach?
Aye.
Councilmember Syrup?
Yes.
Councilmember Cermeño? Yes. Mayor Salinas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item unanimously passes. Thank you. Then moving on to item number 7, and again, my apologies, Councilmember Goldstein, go right ahead.
Sure, perfectly fine. So we're looking to make up a $221,000 deficit. What's not clear to me, so there was a couple of things. One of them was, it looks like on the graph on, sorry, I didn't copy what page that was on, but on the proposed for 2025, there was a $23,000 item for a Proposition 218. But isn't it true that that amount would only have to be paid if we had to do a Prop 218 election, or are you saying at this point we would have to?
We would have to pay the $23,000 just to hold the Proposition 218, both for the consultant cost to do so, the mailers, and to hold the actual special election for that.
So the only way to make up the difference of that 220,000 is to go to an election? There's no way around that?
Correct. And we did this a couple of years ago when they had a much higher balance, and it was unsuccessful. So we're going to do some additional outreach. The total due now has been reduced. We're looking at some other repayment terms to try to make it a little more attractive and palatable for the property owners. But ultimately, this is a property owner responsibility. So yes, we're going to look for a Prop 218 election after the first of the year.
I see, okay. And if we don't do a Prop 218, it basically means that we have to dissolve the district?
That's one of the potential solutions. We're working the city attorney's office on all of our options.
So right now you don't know what all those options are, and those options will be presented at the June 25 hearing. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
I see, okay, all right. Okay, that's all the questions I have then. Thank you.
Would you like to move it?
Yes, I'll move it.
Moved by Councilmember Goldstein, second by Councilmember Cermeño. And if there are no questions, Madam City Clerk, if you can take the roll.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Andrews?
Aye.
Councilmember Bonilla Jr.?
Aye.
Councilmember Goldstein?
Yes.
Councilmember Roach?
Yes.
Councilmember Syrup?
Yes.
Councilmember Cermeño? Mayor Salinas?
Yes, and it unanimously passes. Next, we're going to move on to our public hearing, item 11, which is the fiscal year 2025 budget, CIP, public hearing and adoption. Public hearing for the proposed fiscal year 2025 operating budgets for the City of Hayward, Hayward Redevelopment Successor Agency, and Hayward Housing Authority. Fiscal year 2025 capital improvement program budget, adoption of the fiscal year 2025 operating budgets and appropriations for fiscal year 2025, and adoption of the fiscal year 2025 capital improvement program budget and appropriations for the fiscal year 2025, and adoption of the Hayward Redevelopment Successor Agency budget, and adoption of the Hayward Housing Authority budget. And I believe the person who will kick this off is our Finance Director, Nicole Gonzalez.
Thank you. Good evening. We did shorten the title for this PowerPoint slide so it fit on one slide. But thank you. Good evening. Tonight we will be holding a public hearing for the fiscal year 2025 operating and CIP budgets. If no substantial changes are directed by council this evening, we will hope to close the public hearing and open the next item for consideration for adoption this evening. If it is not moved for adoption this evening, we will come back to you on June 18th. So here's a snapshot of kind of our process, like where we've been. It's a great illustration for our community to understand what the Hayward budget process is like. And so we typically kick off our budget process each year for the annual budget in January or February. And then we have department meetings that we schedule with each department to review their budget requests and budget needs for the upcoming fiscal year. In March and April, we meet with the city manager to review those recommendations from the council. Those are taken under consideration and then provided as direction to move forward to present to council or not. We also present the draft CIP to the city manager. And we also provide some discussion of the fiscal year 25 budget framework and work session, specifically related to our Saturday work session, which happens in May. It was on May 11th this year. It was an all-day Saturday work session where departments presented their highlights from the current fiscal year and did an overview of their performance metrics as well as performance metrics for the upcoming fiscal year, and then highlighted any budgetary changes they proposed for the upcoming fiscal year. The CIP presentation and work session was presented to council on May 7th. And that was an opportunity for Director Amiri to present the proposed CIP program for fiscal year 2025. And then this evening we are here for the public hearing and potential adoption. As I mentioned, if we do not adopt this evening, we will return to council for consideration on June 18th. So this is just a budget overview for fiscal year 2025. We have a couple of areas that we highlight here. We highlight the city funds, which includes both Measure C and general fund. The total for all city funds totals $412.4 million. Agency funds, which include the successor agency, redevelopment funds, and housing authority, those total $4.7 million. So the total city operating budget being proposed this evening is $417.2 million. Also presented this evening for a total CIP budget of $158.5 million. So the table here kind of provides two different comparisons. So we do compare what is being proposed this evening to what has been proposed to council when the budget was proposed and printed in April of this year, which was also discussed at the Saturday work session. And then we also highlight the change between what is being presented this evening with what was adopted in fiscal year 2024. So just highlighting quickly the changes that you will see this evening between what has taken place since the Saturday work session and this evening. We have a total increase of about $500,000, $100,000 in the general fund, and then $400,000 in all other city funds, and I'll go into some more detail about what that is in the subsequent slides. We are showing an increase over the fiscal year 2024 adopted budget of about $15.4 million, which total is about 3.8%. So again, to kind of go into a little bit more detail on what those changes have been since what was published in April of this year to what we are presenting this evening. We are seeing an increase of $100,000, and that's for an increase in the library collection development purchases that would go towards building the city's library collection. All other funds, we did receive the final updated CDBG or Community Development Block Grant Entitlement Award, and so that was a net increase of $106,000 in supplies and services. We did have a little bit of an administrative cleanup. There was a double or duplicate budget reduction that was presented in the proposed budget, and so that has been addressed. And so that was a net increase of about $400,000. So wanting to provide an update on the city's general fund 5-year forecast. This is a forecast is a tool that we use to help plan for long-range financial planning. It's a forecast that we regularly provide to council during the budget process and whenever we have significant changes that impact the long-term fiscal impact to the general fund. We do provide that update. As a reminder, in May, during the Saturday work session, we had projected a general fund use of reserves of $1.7 million. When we take into consideration the support for the $100,000 for the library, that does change the use of reserves to $1.8 million. So I wanted to spend some time recognizing that, in fiscal year 2027, we start to see larger projected uses of our reserves. We are always, paying attention to this 5-year forecast. It's something that while you may only see a few times a year, it's something that we are regularly monitoring and working towards. We recognize that there are challenges with our budget. But we are also very familiar with how other agencies are performing, and that we are very similar in our financial situation with neighboring jurisdictions, including the state of California, which is currently projecting a very significant deficit for fiscal year 2025. The city of Oakland has been in the news with their really large deficits, and we also know that the city of San Leandro have a use of reserves projected of about $5.6 million for fiscal year 25, and the city of San Mateo has one for about $10.5 million. So it's challenges that we are seeing across the region and across the state, and so it is something that we are constantly working to stay on top of. We are also looking to hold a second budget work session in the fall. Once we have the opportunity to close our financial books for fiscal year 24, to have a better picture of where we're ending this current year, it will give us an idea of where we are at with our general fund reserve balance at that time, and we can continue to strategize on how we can continue to close that budget gap in future years. So just wanting to highlight some of the general fund revenue sources for fiscal year 2025 projections. We are projecting estimated $216.4 million in general fund reserves. As you can see, we have some larger revenues. Our largest revenue is the city's property tax at about 33.7% of our total revenue, sales tax at 22%, utility user tax at a little over 11%, and transfer tax, which is the real property transfer tax, which is 8.1% of our total revenue source. So switching to kind of take a look at the general fund expenditures by category, the proposed fiscal year general fund budget is $218.2 million. Unlike the general fund revenues, which has a number of pieces of pie that make up our overall, we do see the significant cost to the city is related to salaries and benefits, which is not inconsistent with what we see in the type of work that we do. We are a service organization. We are going to be heavily funded in providing those services with people. If you look at similar jurisdictions that are full-service cities, like the city of Hayward, this is very similar makeup of their operating budget as well. We also have about $5.3 million in supplies and services. Internal service fees account for about 8.6%, and then much of the other pieces of the pie are much smaller. We do have our debt obligation for outstanding debt, which is about 1.2% of our general fund budget. So shifting kind of from our operating to our CIP, fiscal year 25 CIP expenditures by category. So these are kind of the buckets of the type of projects that we are doing in fiscal year 25. The total CIP budget this year is $158.5 million. I'm wanting to kind of highlight some of our larger pieces of the pie, like the water system and the sewer system. Some of the projects that we're going to be undertaking in fiscal year 2025 include the annual line replacements for water and sewer, and cast iron water pipeline replacements, as well as a water line improvement for fiscal year 2025. The general capital projects, which are funded through transfers from the general fund, include La Vista Park, South Hayward Youth and Family Family Center, the citywide EV charging station strategy upgrades, as well as public accessible fast chargers as well. So this, just kind of similar to what was shown on the previous slide, is the CIP expenditure by fund. Again, the total CIP budget for fiscal year 25 is $158.5 million. As shown on the previous slides, the larger pieces of pie that make up the CIP for fiscal year 25 include water at $43.2 million, sewer systems at $40.8 million. Our capital for general projects is $24.5 million, and then some of our smaller projects as well, including Measure C at 2.8 or 2.9 million. So what is the recommendation for this evening is, one, to conduct a public hearing in accordance with the city's charter, and two, that the city council adopts resolution in approving the fiscal year 2025 operating and CIP budgets in accordance with the city's charter. With that, I will pause, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. And this is a public hearing, and before I go to council questions, I'd like to open it up for public comment. And I see, let me see, I don't see any public comment online, and I do not have any cards right now. So let me. I submitted public comment. Did you, hold on a second. Oh, yes, you did. This is item 11. Okay, yes. Kay.
Your favorite public speaker. Again, I am again proud to say, to hear not just the accomplishments of the exiting fire chief, but that during his tenure, this body before me enacted, put forward, implemented, made ethical, made effective, innovative, transformative ideas put into action. That's commendable. I'm sure myself and other public members would like to see more of that. When it comes to the special budget, what are some of the applications of the special budget funding? I would like to know more about that. I would also like to say, don't reject a message because of the messenger who delivers it. Again, make sure that even though things are being considered, for example, such as in housing and tenants' rights, make sure it's not just for show or for saving face only. Make sure it's not nominal things that are being done. Nominal is an accounting term used to denote a name being used but having no power or attachment to what it's being used in. Please don't let that be the body of your work, where things are just being done for show to say you have considered it or addressed it. If it is not meeting the needs, meeting and reaching the needs of the targeted, then it cannot be effective in its implementation, nor can it be effecable. Again, there is great need in housing, in tenant rights, for landlords, especially the rich corporate ones, running rampant in residential housing. That has got to stop, and it's got to change. You have demonstrated so far as by your own testimony with the exiting fire chief, that you're capable of good and great work. We would like to see some of that good and great work in housing and tenants' rights, protecting against bad landlords. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I don't see anyone online, and I don't have any other cards, so I'd like to close public comment and then come up to council. And Councilmember Roach, go right ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Dr. Gonzalez. I know we've all had several chances to look at this budget, including an all-day work session, and so I think a lot of our questions have been answered. But a city budget is a snapshot in time, and everything things are constantly changing, right? The city's obligations are constantly changing, and so it does make me nervous that our reserves are going down. And I really appreciate the perspective and where the state's at, where the city's at. I think, everyone seems to be in this, in this economic climate there, people are having to dig deeper, including Hayward, we're digging deeper into our reserves. But I do want to hold us to some sort of, interim work session between now and the mid-year, because I think that might be too late, because once we get a look at the 2024 actuals, I think it would be a really good idea for us to have a work session, maybe specifically on how we replenish the reserve, and how we're gonna, what our plan is to go forward on that. Because, and again, I think if we wait till the mid-year and it's not looking that great, then it might be too late to do anything for the next next budget. So I would hope that that when we have that my colleagues will agree that we do that work session, and then maybe the Budget and Finance Committee take it from what the hard decisions are. What does it really look like for us to make some serious cuts? Because my understanding that Hayward's obligation is 20% of reserves. I believe that's best practices. I think we can't afford to go any lower than what we're projecting here. So I'm really concerned about that. I do believe the staff is equally concerned, but also equally confident that we can turn this around. But I think we definitely need an interim look at it once we know the 2024 budgets. And I heard Dr. Gonzalez say that she's going to plan on that. I would hope we could commit to a late September work session, either, just a work session on a Tuesday night, or if we have to do it some other night. I really want to make sure we take that time to do it, because to let this continue to go down in the projection, if you look at the forecast, that's very nerve-wracking for me. So maybe I'm just going to ask you, Dr. Gonzalez, when do you see that those numbers coming out, and what is your confidence level on getting the reserves back on track, and what might some ideas be?
Yeah, thank you. I absolutely agree. We will commit to providing a work session with council in the late fall, or late September, in the fall, once fiscal year 24 has closed. Officially, it will give us a better sense of where we are with actual revenue collection, as well as our total expenditures for fiscal year. It will give us an idea of where we're at with that general fund reserve balance to begin with, so that we can continue to have those conversations on what it looks like for us to move forward and to continue to repair and replenish the general fund reserves to a level that council is comfortable with, that is a level that is more congruent with the 20% policy. And so those are conversations that we will continue to have. We can have those conversations and provide some recommendations during our CBFC, so our Council Budget and Finance Committee, so that we can have those conversations on how to replenish and kind of bring back up our reserve levels to our policy.
Thanks. And then if things are not looking that great by the sort of actuals for 2024, even if we approve this budget tonight, what is our option to tack and make some changes right away if things are not looking that great?
I mean, there is an opportunity for council, for staff to work with council to bring something sooner than mid-year. It is not part of our regular process, but it doesn't preclude us to come back to council at any time to make some of those changes. So
while we, if we approve this tonight, we're approving an idea, like a framework to move forward in 2025, but we're not wedded to it if we realize, in order to keep the city's finances healthy, we have to make changes.
That's correct. Sorry, Nicole, to jump in here. That's correct. All it would take would be action from city council to make changes to the budget. So, this is definitely top priority for myself, for Director Gonzalez, and we are constantly taking a look at our revenues, taking a look at expenditures. We're not going to wait until mid-year or even September to continue to monitor our revenues. And if there's something that is alarming to either of us, we're going to bring it forward to council immediately.
Okay, and then, I mean, just since you're speaking, tell me your guys' confidence. Like, we know this is tipping down lower than it's been in previous years. So what's your confidence level moving forward that that we can withstand this, because it is alarming?
So I would say, I don't intend to diminish or make light of anyone's concerns. I will say the city's been in a similar position before. We've always found a way forward. I'm confident that we will again. Certainly, we're facing a similar challenge to other agencies in the region and the state. And selfishly, that's not our problem. Our problem is our problem. And so I don't mean to to try to take attention off of us or say we should focus elsewhere. But I have every level of confidence that together as an organization we'll do what we need to do. And I know I have faith in this council to know that you all will do what you need to do to make sure that we're heading in the right direction.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Zermeño. And just for point of clarification, we're not passing the budget tonight. This is just a work session, correct?
No, this is a public hearing. And
Or a public hearing.
If we close the public hearing, we do have the option to adopt this evening.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
yeah, okay. Councilmember Zermeño.
Mayor, thank you, and Mayor and Director Gonzalez, thank you very much. Very good presentation. A couple of questions and a couple of comments. Let's see. So, when we have to dip into the reserves, and of course we want to keep them at 20%, what measures can the council take, staff take, in order to try to keep that reserve at 20%?
Sure. So there's different strategies that council can provide direction on. One of them is, vacant positions that we currently have. We have the ability to freeze those to assume immediate savings from that personnel-related costs. So that is an option. There could be reductions, a directive to reduce supplies and services by a certain percentage. That helps us balance our budget. It's also a strategy that you can implement for a number of years. Like I said, there could be an option to freeze positions. It may not just be for fiscal year 25, it could be for a year or two. Again, we can continue to revisit those strategies as we continue to monitor our ongoing revenue streams as well.
On freezing the positions, is that something that can be brought to us directly, or would it go directly to our budget committee?
It could be brought to the committee first
Okay.
as kind of a work session item for the
All right.
committee and get their perspective on whether or not they recommend pushing it forward to
All
the
right.
full council for consideration, or we can actually bring it as an item independent to council for consideration.
And that would be the same thing if we wanted to act on the hotel.
Correct.
Correct.
If council
it
chose
could-
to increase the TOT tax, that would come to council as an item for direction.
Or directly to the budget committee for them to kind of act or recommend, yes or no?
Correct.
Or whatever percentage, et cetera. Okay, well, that's good. Let's see, so I noticed that revenues from 2026 to 2027 is only 1 million, whereas the other years it's an average of 6 million. Do we have a plan to make that 1 million turn into a 6 million revenue? It's only 1 million increase. It's kind of low from 26 to 27.
In our general fund, the 5-year? Is that what you're
Yes,
referring
the
to?
5-year.
So we do see an increase between fiscal year 24 and 25 of about 6 million, like you
Right.
said. And then in 2027, We do have in our model as an assumption, again, as our financial model tool, we do have some recessionary assumptions built in,
Okay.
as there are some indications that there could potentially be a mild recession in fiscal
All
year
right.
27. So again, we'll continue to monitor that. If it's not something that we're seeing, we will update our revenues for fiscal year 27, and we'll start to see an increase in that particular year, which will ultimately impact out years as well.
Okay, and that may be a good year to tell our residents, hey, shop Hayward first, please. All the people are in TV land, et cetera. Have we ever considered in our water bill sending a small note, shop Hayward first, and these could be some of your favorite places. You know, we're gonna open up another Ross store. We're gonna do not Whole Foods. What's the other one?
Sprouts.
Yeah, Sprouts. My wife is waiting for it, and we live over here on the south side, and et cetera. So that may be something to consider. You know, shop Hayward first, and these are your favorite places. Let's see. HOSPA, the shoreline GPA is going to increase from 12,000, so you know that. Let's see. So freeze positions, Hayward residents. Very good job. Thank you. And let's keep doing these presentations, these workshops in order to make sure that we know what we're doing or how we can do it better and not dip too much into reserves. Thanks again.
Sounds good.
Before we move on, Mayor, I'd like to add, you know, I want to I want to expand the conversation a bit. I don't think that freezing of positions is going to solve all of our problems. Certainly, that's one solution that was included in the memo that Nicole provided to council, which showed a bouquet of solutions that we could use to help to balance the budget and you know, continue to do. But I wouldn't suggest, you know, freezing a bunch of positions and running an organization that we already know is very lean with a bunch of positions held out is not a great way to do, you know, to resolve things long term or to expect to have great level of service because folks will be burnt out. So just wanted to drop that in there.
Thank you. Councilmember Bonilla.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation tonight, Director Gonzalez. As we've seen in your presentation, there's certainly been a lot of hard work that's went into this budget that we're reviewing tonight. It was a very comprehensive process that we all have underwent. It's a 6-month process that started in January and is hopefully going to be, you know, culminating tonight. But you know, tonight isn't the last of the discussions around this budget. I completely agree with my colleagues. We need to make sure that we have a fast follow, you know, in September to really start looking at how we manage our budget with less use of our reserves in the inner years, including 2025, right? So I'm very interested in the session that we're going to be having, you know, this fall, because I too am concerned about the use of reserves, not just for 2025, but for the remaining years. But what I also know is that we have a city, we have a community, we have an executive team, and we have a council that's all committed to the financial health of this city, and we're all committed to finding ways to protect our reserves while continuing to meet the evolving needs of our community. So I know that the city manager had discussed, you know, this menu of options that we had received to potentially reduce the use of the reserves. And essentially, those options would be us taking action to reduce city expenses so that our expense trend lowers so that we don't need to dip into reserves. But what I didn't have there in order to make an informed decision was the risk associated with those cuts. So for an example, if we were to cut those 74 positions, freeze them, you know, put them on ice, whatever we're going to do, what is the impact? I know that we heard from the city manager that said, well, the impact might be a degradation. And like, I want to know position by position, what is the impact? What is the impact from a community's perspective if we say we're going to cut services by 10%? If I'm a member of this community, how do I feel that impact? This way we can all have a very transparent discussion that's a risk-based discussion to say, if we're going to make these decisions, we're going to go into it eyes wide open, knowing that these are going to be the impacts and the risks that we're all going to have to assume by making these cuts. And we need to be comfortable making those because we're going to have to make those hard decisions in order to get to a better financial trajectory and outlook for the city in future years. But I also appreciate that, you know, we do have a very conservative, you know, projection both in terms of revenues and in terms of expenses. And that's what I've been sharing with the community, because there's been a few community members who have shared their concerns about the outlook. But I you know, reiterated what we heard from you is that, you know, our revenue projections are quite conservative. They are anticipating a mild recession. You know, there's all of these assumptions that's built into it that may or may not materialize, right? And then we have our expenses that sometimes, you know, through vacancies or through delays in projects, we don't even realize the full expenses that we're projecting too, right? So I think us understanding the financial close of 2024 will really be the data that we need to make a data-informed decision on how it is we're going to manage the financial risk that we're going to have to take one way or another as we look to reduce the use of reserves. Because I personally won't support future budgets with this kind of projection of using reserves. We'll have to have other discussions about that. And I think, you know, as we heard from our colleagues, everything needs to be on the table. And, you know, if we are going to need to determine how to package things, is it a 5% service cut? Is it freezing 10 positions? Then I think we need to do that. That's what we're here to do. But if staff can help us by making those recommendations to say, look, the easiest way to get here, the least riskiest way is this, then I think we could really start to make more decisions that will continue to position us in a, you know, with a strong financial trajectory for the city. So I also agree with what the city manager had said, which is, you know, I know we've seen numbers like this before. I know we don't like seeing numbers like this, and it's our responsibility to manage it. If it's not increasing our revenues, and it's going to be cutting our expenses. And I also appreciate kind of I would say the environmental scan of what other jurisdictions are facing, but I also don't really care what other cities are doing, to be quite honest. I'm concerned about making sure that Hayward has the financial sustainability that's needed to make sure that this community is vibrant for future generations. So I really appreciate us staying centered on Hayward's issues. And the same way we're a leader in other areas, maybe we can use this as an opportunity to be a leader in financial stewardship and show other cities that when we're facing these kind of tough decisions, we're able to be thoughtful, we're able to be collaborative, and we're able to make the decisions that best position the city for its future success. So with that, the question that I have tonight is, if we were to, you know, move forward with this, which I think we need to, but I also think we need to revisit it again in September. Do you have any concerns about kind of the amount of our reserves and any implication on credit or bond ratings or anything like that, or is that not a concern at this point?
I don't think that it's a significant concern. I will let city manager or interim city manager Clausen speak to this, but I don't think right now I have a real concern for it with this specific. Again, there's a lot of things that go into when a bond agency is looking at rating your agency. One of them is the city meeting its obligations? Is it paying down its debt obligations as it's supposed to? Is it paying its unfunded liabilities and its obligations for its employees for pension? And the city is doing all of that. And so those are things that they also look at as well. Yes, they are looking at the city's financial well-being over long term, but I don't have a particular concern right now because we are meeting those obligations, and we are showing that in our long-term projections that we are meeting those obligations.
Got it. Thank you. And then I would say, you know, when we look at options, to reduce the use of reserves, can we also look at potentially selling property that has been sitting around that we could potentially offload as an option as well? Just as we look at kind of this 5-year trajectory, we may not need to go and offload things tomorrow or next month, but we're talking about 5 years here, and it does take some time to position the sale of those kind of assets. And but other than that, I just do want to stress my appreciation to my colleagues and to you as our finance director for getting us here tonight. I think that our Budget and Finance Committee has some work ahead of them, but I think that work is just, it's small in comparison to the work that I think as a full council we need to undertake, because I think all of us agree that making sure that our city is in a strong financial position is the #1 priority for all of us. And I know we share that with you and everyone here tonight. So thank you for your work, and thank you for such, a comprehensive review of this, and for your commitment to collaborate to find a way forward that doesn't require this use of reserves as we're forecasting going forward. So appreciate the hard work here.
Thank you. Councilmember Syra.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to start by saying thank you, Director Gonzalez, for putting together this budget. Thank you to Deputy Director Crosby and Management Analyst Nick Mullins as well. This is definitely a group effort to produce a document this size, and the fact that we get this consistently on time every year should not be taken for granted. I want to echo a lot of my prior colleagues' comments. I think I can save us the time. I share a lot of the same sentiments. So for the purposes of direction, absolutely, we should have a work session in September as a full council. In between, as a Budget and Finance Committee, we have a number of options available for us to discuss, and there might be some we haven't thought of yet, but really getting into the weeds about what are the specifics, how do we tweak or find the right level of each of those different options to really deliver a budget that replenishes itself and is regenerative in the long run, so that we do deliver a balanced budget to our residents year after year, and we remain a fiscally responsible and sustainable city. I wanted to add an additional comment on behalf of Aaron Horner, who was here earlier tonight but had to step out for a meeting. He is part of the community agency funding process, which I believe is also part of this budget. And he just wanted to express the I'm assuming what he wanted to share, so I'm not going to quote him. These are my comments interpreted based on what he had told me. South Hayward Parish is the only emergency shelter that we have in Hayward, and it has 21 beds, so it's not a lot of beds. And according to our recent point in time count, we have a significantly higher number as it relates to folks that are unhoused in our community. Going through the funding process annually, Aaron is very grateful for the city's support, but there is a very large administrative burden that comes with having to go through the application process year over year. And so I would also encourage us as a city to look through the burden that we place on our community partners, because we also ask them to spend a lot of that funding on the administrative cost of reporting as opposed to providing those services. So I just want to make sure we're getting the most value for the dollars that we're spending on our nonprofit partners to provide those services to our community. I think there are other examples or models for other cities that have agreements that improve service distribution. And I think there was a comment from my colleague, Councilmember Zermeño, in the past alongside me around increasing our community services budget in the future as well. And so as I'm content with this budget, I appreciate the work that's gone into it. We've had a lot of conversations about it already. We're going to continue to have those conversations, but I just want to make sure that how our budget interfaces with our service providers and our partners isn't forgotten or left out of that conversation as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Goldstein.
Yeah, excellent points. Excellent points that my colleagues are making. Great job on the financial reports. It's a mammoth task, and I'm always impressed every time we receive it because it is so complete and thorough. It's really an impressive piece of work. You and your staff deserve kudos for that. I agree with my colleagues that we should really start planning now for a variety of possible changes. It's the fiscally responsible thing to do, and I think if we just accept that things are the way that they are and they're not going to change, or that they're going to change in our favor, would be irresponsible. And I know you're not irresponsible. So I'm looking forward to being able to review the plan again in September when we have the real data. But I would encourage us to start looking at those things that we might, the levers and dials that we might be able to operate with minimal impact and be able to affect some change there. But great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Andrews.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Director Gonzalez, for your report and your hard work, and all the departments for presenting at the Budget and Finance committees, as well as the all-day budget workshops. I know there's a lot of work that goes into budget, so just want to appreciate all the hard work you all are doing in managing that. I agree with Councilmember Broche. I look forward to reviewing updates in September. I also have full confidence in our Budget and Finance Committee to make sound recommendations. And we understand that this is something that we need to vote on tonight, but something that we will always look at moving throughout the year, as we do every year. We also have the opportunity to review during the mid-year budget to make any adjustments that are necessary. And we also, I just had one question regarding the Budget and Finance Committee. Do you know when the next meeting is for the next Budget and Finance Committee? Because that could also be an opportunity for a touch point.
Sure. So we actually meet on the 17th. We have a special meeting since our regular meeting is landing on Juneteenth this year. So we do have a meeting scheduled, but it's typically monthly. It's the third Wednesday of every month. So the next one after June 17th will be the third Wednesday in August, which I believe is the 21st.
Okay, so then you will have that opportunity to review. That will be earlier than September. So for that meeting, so you can present in August and then bring it back in September?
I think we can begin conversations. We close our fiscal year financial books, for a lack of a better term. We close those officially at the end of August.
Okay.
And so, which is why we had suggested late September. However, we do have a September meeting, and so we could also meet with this Council Budget and Finance Committee on the third Wednesday ahead of meeting with Council in late September.
Okay, I think that would be good, just to give that committee more time to review, or earlier time to review. And then also, I wanted to also highlight some of the administrative burden comments I heard from Councilmember Sire. I think that's also something that the ad hoc committee can possibly review as we look at community services and look at opportunities there to find some efficiencies. But also the Community Services Commission can also look at some of the administrative burden that they are requesting from agencies with staff. So I know some of it's required in order to obtain funding and do audits and all that, but I think that those two places could also be something that we look at to assist there. But otherwise, I want to just say, yes, I am interested in seeing another touch point and look forward to seeing updates on the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I go to the vote, and yes, you know, when I have to say, when I looked at the agenda, I thought it said work session, but it's public hearing. So yes, and then now I know why the city clerk looked at me when I went straight to public comment and then came. Anyway, you know, thank you, thank you. Anyways. I appreciate everyone's comments, and I'm you know, the concern, the attention that is here, absolutely, I agree, and you know, the words or the sentiments people are expressing are poignant, and I think they're certainly on topic. But I also have to say, and I say this, you know, because I've been up here, you know, a little bit of time, and I would be remiss if I did not go back to the day or to the year that when I was elected, the entire economy was collapsing, and people were losing their homes, people were losing their jobs. You know, the city was hemorrhaging money. We were financing and we were applying resources to social services. We had funded social services unlike any other time in the history of the city. And I remember some of the first budget conversations I walked into were we were going to go to the reserve, and we were going to be pulling at unprecedented levels into our reserve. And I also have to say that when I was elected, I was up here on the dais with council members that were pretty smart budget tacticians, to say the least. And so 2010, 2011, 2012, we did have those conversations that everything was on the table. When we looked at the budget, no stone went unturned. And but one of the biggest takeaways, in addition to all of the strategies and all the budgeting tactical maneuvers, and we did all that, I think the biggest takeaway I can mention tonight is, in addition to all of that stuff, and I say stuff, but in addition to all of the expert tactical work that our budget director does, along with her staff and along with our city manager, my takeaway was stay steady, stay on the course, right? Stay steady, stay on the course. That doesn't mean that we not pay attention to this, because we have to. It's not that we take our eye off the ball, because we can't. But nonetheless, we have to stay steady, and we have to stay on course. And economies, they go up, they go down. We know that. We've lived through it. I mean, even during the pandemic, when we were up here in the pandemic, I mean, we were pulling down, we were drawing down from reserve at, yet again, unprecedented levels. And now we're at this time now where we're sort of restoring that and pulling out of that. And I should say that even today, as we have pulled out, we have still maintained our budget policy of 20% on reserve, all the time, right? And so we have drawn down to meet our budget commitments, but I think we have historically, by staying on course and by being steady, we have always met that 20% reserve. There's a lot of ways to measure a successful budget. One thing I look at is how much are we meeting our reserve, and then of course it's our OPEB and some of the other stuff that we have spent a lot of time working on and meeting our commitments to that. But the comment I want to make and the point I want to sort of leave here tonight is, while all of everyone's concerns are important and they're poignant, and we need to always know this, and I think we are good stewards of the budget. We are good stewards of our financial house around this building. We are. But we just have to be steady, and we have to be on course and stay on course. It's a process, and we will certainly get through this. I look forward to the work session, sometime between now and mid-year. We'll do all that. The Budget and Finance Committee, we certainly have our work cut out ahead of us. But I just want to just call upon my colleagues to stay steady, and let's stay on course, and we'll get through this. So with that, if there's any other comments from our finance director, if there's not, we can move on to a vote.
No, I'd like to thank the council for your leadership. There are hard decisions that have to be made, and I appreciate your support through this. I also want to thank my staff, who was mentioned by a number of you. This is absolutely a large project that we undertake every year, and I don't do it alone, so thank you to Christina Crosby, my deputy director, Nick Mullins, who's our senior management analyst, and Francesca Hatfield, who I believe is online, and she's also an analyst, as well as Chrissy Mello, who is a huge support in our department, so thank you.
Yes. So Director Gonzalez, thank you very much, and What I'd like to do this year is on this on this $417 million budget, $158.5 million CIP budget, I'd like to move the item. And moved by Mayor Salinas, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Zermeño. And if there are no other questions or comments, Madam City Clerk, if you can take the roll.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Andrews?
Aye.
Councilmember Bonilla Jr.?
Yes.
Councilmember Goldstein?
Yes.
Councilmember Roach?
Yeah, with the caveat, I want to make sure we get that meeting on the books late September, but I think you have consensus from everyone on that.
Thank you. Councilmember?
So yes.
Yes, that was a yes. Councilmember Syrup?
Yes.
Councilmember Cermeño? Mayor Salinas?
Yes. Okay, thank you. Good job. Moving on to item number 12, which is the GAN limit adoption. Adopt a resolution establishing a GAN appropriation limit for fiscal year 2025. And this report is coming to us by Director Gonzalez, who is now has transformed as the GAN director.
Expert?
Expert, the GAN expert.
Thank you. This item should be incredibly brief. We bring this item to council for consideration every year. And so it is the requirement to hold a public hearing and adoption, excuse me, of the fiscal year 25 GAN appropriation limit. So what is the GAN appropriation limit and why do we need to adopt one? We are here again this evening to adopt the GAN limit for fiscal year 25. It's something we need to adopt every year. The GAN limit is essentially the limit that sets the ceiling for the amount of revenue the city can collect in proceeds of taxes. And so there are a number of propositions that have been signed into law that requires the city to place a limit on those tax proceeds and to come to council or their each year for that adoption. So for fiscal year 2025, the GAN limit is $413 million in revenues related to proceeds from taxes. The city of Hayward currently projects to collect $167 million in tax proceeds that are subject to that limit, which means we're several hundreds of millions of dollars away from approaching that limit. So like again, as I mentioned, we are currently projected to collect $167 million, and our limit is $413 million. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has. Otherwise, the recommendation this evening is to adopt a resolution establishing the GAN appropriation limit for fiscal year 2025.
I appreciate that. And Madam City Clerk, I will do it right this time. I'll first go to public comment. No, go to council. Yes, of course. And I don't see any questions up here. I will close council comments, open up for public comment. And I see, is that a hand raised to make a public comment on the GAN report?
Yes, sir. I'm afraid I didn't have time to submit one for. I didn't understand what it was. Could you explain what the GAN report is?
Briefly.
Sure.
Well, hold on.
Sure. So the city collects a certain number of revenue each year. So there are a certain amount of revenues that are related to taxes. So like franchise tax might be an example. What we would do is we calculate what our total proceeds for taxes are, which is $167 million. We have a limit of $413 million. So our proceeds that we collect cannot exceed $413 million. We are not close to exceeding that. We are estimated to only collect $167.
What happens if you exceed it?
There are implications where there have to potentially be refunds set on those taxes that were collected from constituents.
Okay, thank you. Closing public comment, I will come back up to the dais. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the item.
Moved by Councilmember Syrup, seconded by Councilmember Goldstein. And if there are no other questions, Madam City Clerk, please take the roll.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Andrews?
Aye.
Councilmember Bonilla Jr.?
Yes.
Councilmember Goldstein?
Yes.
Councilmember Roach?
Yes.
Councilmember Syrup,
Yes.
Councilmember Cermeño, Mayor Salinas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item unanimously passes. Next, I'd like to move on to item number 13. And let's see, this is an item that we have been working on for a while. And I just wanted to poll council and see if we wanted to go through staff report. Otherwise, I could just go straight to questions.
I think these slides might be interesting to us because it's about a dashboard.
Okay, perfect.
As long as it's brief. So I would look
Yeah.
to Assistant to the City Manager, Mary Thomas, to let us know. Is this a brief presentation?
Okay, that's fine. So, Ms. Thomas, succinct and brief. Okay, so let me introduce it. So item number 13.
Yeah, no, we got it.
Fiscal year 2025.
There we go. Thank you to whoever do that for
roadmap.
me. Thank you, Geraldine. It was my mouse was having a moment.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Resolution.
great. Only 5 slides. Yeah.
Yeah, hold on. Resolution approving and adopting the City of Hayward strategic roadmap. And I believe here it says the person who's going to do this is interim city manager Clausen, but I believe it's going to be Ms. Mary Thomas. Go ahead.
Great. And so yes, you guys have seen this several times. You did not provide any substantive feedback in the last work session we have on this. I mean, it was very good feedback, but it wasn't to make any changes. We did take the notes on the comments you did provide us, and we will take those items into consideration as we're implementing. So the adoption was in your packet of the PDF. Obviously, this is just screenshots for your own visual. And what we're looking for tonight is adoption of that PDF document that will go into the budget, which you just adopted. And then I also wanted to show you, we have made a lot of progress. We were hoping to have the dashboard up last month there's been some transitions in the city manager's department, and there's been some additional workload that we weren't expecting, so we slowed down a bit. This will launch in July with a new strategic roadmap. I just wanted to run by the design with you all and talk about the approach. In case you had any feedback tonight, I will be very brief. This would be the home page. Then individuals can click on any of the priority areas. When you click down on the priority areas, that you go even further into the objective area, you'll get a summary of all the projects and a summary of all the metrics that you guys have adopted. Let me rephrase that. It'll be most of the projects and most of the metrics as they're adopted in the PDF document. Some of them, we might not start the project until later in the year, so we don't want to have it sitting up on the dashboard, not making any movement. And in addition, some of the metrics we decided to combine for the purposes of reporting. So I did provide an attachment that talked about our approach to that. And then I also want to mention that these visuals are just examples. These are not the final language. This would be an example of a project page. So the request from council was that you guys could go into this dashboard and look at project updates yourselves without having to email staff and ask for questions. So each project in the strategic roadmap will have something like this. It'll have a Gantt chart to explain where staff is in the process, what the milestones are. And then once a quarter, staff will be prompted to provide a written narrative quarterly update, which will be automatically posted onto the dashboard so that you can see where staff's at with the project. And then this is an example of a metric page. This is the first time that council has included metrics in the dashboard. This is what it will kind of look like. There'll be a definition, there'll be that quarterly status update. In some cases, the metrics are only annual, so whenever, however frequent, and then it will show the data as well as some historic data. When it goes launching in July, the data, it may take us like a couple of months to get all that data populated, but you'll see as much as we have available then. So I wanted to provide that. That's our approach before I finalize with the consultant and get everything set up. Just wanting to make sure that you're comfortable with that. Thank you. Oh, and that and also staff recommends adopting the roadmap. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Syrup.
Oh, I didn't have any questions. I have comments.
Okay. 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 So, any questions up here? No. Like to open it for public comment. So, if you're going to make a public comment, why don't you come up and then speak up at the microphone?
Regarding the
No, your microphone is off.
thank you. Regarding balancing the budget, exceeding the grant may not be a bad idea. Having to repay back some taxes, that means we would have done our job well in boosting the city's economy, its economic basis for good financial health. And that seems to be one way. One way it seems that the city has been good at not eroding the city's financial health is by not having a lot of policing payouts for abuse. That's one good thing that that department has been, it's to my knowledge so far. I don't know if there are any hidden facts that have not been released to the public. So that's one way of balancing the city's budget, is that that department has done well in serving the community by not having such payout claims. Another way for balancing, besides again, and other such areas that you may want to look into, the bad side is that I'm aware 5 years ago, regarding housing with Reliant Property Management, I am aware that the city itself is aware that it broke, in order to do the agreement that you did with them, they broke many rules. They violated a lot of housing that you guys were aware of. And on one hand, the city was responsible in taking responsibility for their part in it, in addressing some tenants' needs when they ordered the landlord to make payouts to some of these tenants. That was responsible in order to do your right, your wrong to some of those citizens. But a lot of people, the majority, more than 90% of those that were wrong, didn't get the help they needed from anyone, even though the landlord promised to do these corrections. So making decisions where you do business with people such as bad landlords who violate your own laws that make you have to have payouts, those are not good decisions in balancing the budget. We need to be careful that going forward, things like that aren't being done, where we wreak havoc on the city's name, the city's reputation, or its budget. And therefore, you sitting here as members of the council or the city, it reflects on your record also, which is what a lot of the public is not happy about. And we want to be happy with what you do.
Thank you. I have, there's another public comment here. I don't know if Ro Aguilar online.
Yes, I have several comments on the preserve, protect, and produce housing for all priority. The objective 1, HM1 and HM2, the metrics are missing the number of people not served, the ones who are turned away because of lack of funding and other resources. The numbers of unserved identifies what area the city needs to improve to achieve its planned goals. HM3, the agencies funded should be held to the same standard of accountability as the City Shelter Navigation Center and keep statistics on the number unserved, the ones they have to turn away because they're full, as well as those served. Proposed special projects. The city's projects to address its homeless numbers are not up to the Hayward's high standards. The number of unhoused will continue to grow as rents and housing prices continue to increase. The city council needs to think on a bigger scale Propose projects with enough capacity to provide housing and wraparound services to all residents who need it, especially those who are about to become homeless. For most people, the shorter time people are homeless, the less complicated and more cost-effective it is to move them into partial or total independence. I am an advocate for hotels as a permanent solution. I suggest this issue as an appropriate agenda item for the HHTF, Housing Homeless Task Force. They could develop a recommendation on special projects that realistically provide long-term solutions to homelessness, equal to the enormity of the numbers and diversity of the needs. Homelessness affects other city goals: public safety, economic growth, vibrant neighborhoods. Let's plan with courage, compassion, and for the future, and as educated cities, do the math. Objective 2, Objective 3, HM4, HM5, HM9, and HM10. This plan may reach its most difficult housing targets, low and very low income and segregated housing units. But the city must acknowledge the importance of inclusionary housing for low and very low income residents and transitioning them to the middle class. Changing the city housing ordinance to require developers to build affordable, inclusionary rental and home ownership.
Ms. Aguilar, your time is up, but I'll give you a moment to end your comment.
Thank you so much. I have one sentence. Units will achieve both housing equity and a thriving middle class that strengthens the other city's priorities. Last sentence. How many inclusionary units were not built because the developer chose to pay an in lieu fee? Less equity, opportunity is the result. Thank you. And I would say some positive things, but in 3 minutes, I can't fit them in. Sorry.
Next time, focus on the positive. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Next, I'd like to return back to the dais, and I got Councilmember Andrews with her hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to move the item and thank staff for creating this dashboard. I know there was a lot of hard work that went into this, and look forward to using the tool moving forward.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Andrews. It looks like, I think she raised her hand to second it, but let me defer to Councilmember Roach.
Oh, yeah, I will second it. And I also was raising my hand to just make a comment. Also, I just wanted to thank Ms. Thomas for her leadership on getting us here. I'm really excited that we're adopting this strategic roadmap and moving forward. I think the dashboard is going to be a really great tool for the community. So when we get asked questions, we can defer them to this, and everybody can use this as a tool to understand what's happening in the city. So I'm really excited to second this, and thank you again.
Thank you. Moved by Councilmember Andrews, second by Councilmember Roach, and Councilmember Bonilla has a question or a comment.
Thank you. I just have a couple quick comments. First, I really appreciate this roadmap being coupled with our budget discussion tonight, because I just want to make sure that the community sees all of the work that we're doing with that budget and why the needs of the city sort of are greater than what budget we have available to support all of those, right? So as we think about this great dashboard, which I absolutely love, and I'm going to make sure that, folks that I know about it, it gives us metrics, it gives us great information about completion, status, but we do have a lot of priorities in the city, right? We want to enhance public safety, housing, economy, all of this stuff. So and I think they're all important. So I really appreciate this roadmap. I appreciate how the budget is aligned to the roadmap, and it's going to allow the roadmap to move forward. But when we do have our budget discussion in September, I think roadmap items should be a part of that discussion too. So not just let's look at how we freeze positions, but what would the impact be to some of these more strategic projects that we've committed to the community, so that we have a clear understanding of, you know, the roadmap and then the potential implications should we need to make any type of budget adjustments, because inevitably any budget adjustments we make will impact this strategic plan in one way or another, either by, you know, shrinking the scope of a project, extending the time. I mean, there's all these different, you know, methods we can use to help with the budget issue, but I just appreciate the richness of these projects. And I hope that the community sees that every penny we spend in the budget is going to really important activities that are guided by the input that we get from them on what the important strategic priorities are for our community. So thanks so much, and I'm happy to support this item tonight.
Thank you. Moved by Councilmember Andrews, seconded by Councilmember Roach, and Councilmember Syrup has a comment.
Thank you. I'm happy to support this item as well. I know we've been working on this for quite a while. I just want to emphasize how much I appreciate this dashboard. I think one of the most important things it does is it communicates our vision as a city. And I don't think that should be undervalued or underrated when folks are thinking or saying, you know, what is Hayward doing for the community? What is it working on? It's really powerful to say, well, here's a link. Check it out. And we can point to 30 plus projects that are trying to improve the quality of life for all of our residents across the city and keep us as a leader in the region and across the country. The one comment I did want to make around metrics is I want to encourage staff to be flexible with the metrics. I think that was my critique of the roadmap last time is, do we really feel like these metrics match what these projects are trying to accomplish? And I think they could be, I think granular is too specific of a word, but maybe more fine-tuned or aligned with the projects themselves. So you know, my hope here is in supporting the approval of this strategic roadmap, but I would encourage staff to you know, experiment with the metrics to make sure we're actually having the impact that we're trying to have and not measuring something that might not be as related as we might think to some of these projects. But I'm really excited to continue to move forward with these projects. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just briefly say that the software allows us to be very flexible in terms of shifting things up throughout the years. So throughout the year, so if council is finding that a particular metric isn't getting them the information they need, we can absolutely make amendments.
Great, and I do want to just second the direction that Councilmember Bonilla gave, which was bringing these projects back in the context of our budget. I think these are really important components of our conversation.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Moved by Councilmember Andrews, seconded by Councilmember Roach, and if there are no other questions, Madam City Clerk, if you can take the roll.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Andrews?
Aye.
Councilmember Bonilla Jr.?
Aye.
Councilmember Goldstein?
Aye.
Councilmember Roach?
Aye.
Councilmember Syrup?
Yes, aye.
Councilmember Cermeño? Mayor Salinas?
Yes, and it unanimously passes. Thank you, and thank you for your good work, Ms. Thomas. Appreciate it. Next, we have council reports and announcements. Are there any council reports? Councilmember Syrup? No? Oh, okay. Any Councilmember Bonilla?
Just wanted to say thank you to everyone who came out as we raised the progressive pride flag today in Hayward. It's so good to be a part of a community that centers equality, that, you know, that loves everybody, where you can be yourself in the city. So my announcement tonight is Happy Pride, and thanks everyone for coming out and sharing in our celebration of inclusion and equity in our community today. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. There are no council referrals. Next meeting is June 18th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, meeting adjourned.
Good night, everyone.